Silver price soaring 6.8% in a single day and breaking $33 for the first time in over a decade. If that doesn't get your attention, nothing will. It's not just a blip on the radar, it's a flashing warning sign. In a year when silver has climbed a staggering 41%, outpacing even gold's historic rise to close to $27.50, you have to wonder, what's driving this? And are we standing on the edge of an economic cliff without even realizing it? Let's talk about this. All right, so I want to take a quick minute to share some thoughts in reference to the activity in the metals market right now. So silver ended last week and caught a lot of attention. And then, of course, this week, starting off this Monday, it's also catching attention as it just surpassed $34 and then just took a little bit of a cooling off period. But gold at $2,700 is creeping even close to another all-time high. And so where's all this heading? And what is this really telling us is what I want to cover today. So as always, if you guys find value in these little short takes here, definitely hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and definitely leave a comment down below and share your 2 cents on what's happening. Let's get some dialogue going back and forth in the comment section. But to get one thing straight, precious metals just don't rally for fun. Historically, silver and gold start their climb when things in the broader economy starting to crack. And it's almost like there's canaries in the coal mine right now that's sounding alarms that trouble is brewing. So could the trouble be this recent $500 billion surge over the last 30 days? Or could it be the fiscal deficit of $1.83 trillion as of September 30th of this year? Or how about the BRICS meeting set to start this week, where a lot of people are anticipating some type of alternative payment system? Regardless of the fact, it could be all three or something we don't even know about. But clearly gold and silver is telling us something that's worth paying attention to. And clearly we can see there's trouble brewing. And now silver's on track for its 5th best year in the last 2 decades. And those alarm bells are getting hard to ignore. But what's really behind the surge? And more importantly, what could it mean for the near future? So one of the main things is the fact that silver is currently outperforming gold. And so what does that all mean? And so when silver starts outshining gold, it's time to take a closer look. So typically gold gets all the attention as the ultimate safe haven asset. Silver is often a more aggressive bet during times of uncertainty. So think of it as gold's more volatile sibling. It tends to rise faster when fear takes over the markets, but also crashes harder when optimism returns. So when silver outpaces gold, especially by this much, it's a sign that something is making investors jittery. Because at 41% up year to date, silver isn't just about benefiting traditional drivers like inflation fears. There's a bigger story tied to concerns about economic instability and whispers of deeper crisis brewing beneath the surface, and maybe even a lack of faith in traditional assets like stocks or bonds. And if gold crossing $27.50 for the first time and still lagging silver's performance, it's clear that investors are seeking something beyond the usual safety nets. And the second point worth mentioning is the fact that precious metals and economic fear have always been a proven signal. You see, silver and gold are more than just commodities. They're a barometer of economic fear. See, in 2011, when silver last hit its peak, the world was reeling from the aftermath of the financial crisis. Investors flocked to metals, terrified of currency devaluation, debt crisis, and the fragility of the financial markets. And all those things are starting to sound real familiar again in 2024. So here we are again, with silver reclaiming that same type of momentum and euphoria. That's an indicator that uncertainty is lurking around the corner. So you also factor in high inflation, rising geopolitical tensions, and central banks printing money like there's no tomorrow. That's a lot of fuel for what could be a major silver explosion beyond the figures we're seeing today. But yet this time, it won't just be about inflation. It's about a broader crisis of confidence in the global economy. And so silver's rise suggests that investors aren't buying into the mainstream narrative that everything is under control. They see cracks in the foundation, and they're hedging their bets by turning to metals. And so if we are on the brink of another crisis, the real question is what happens next? And my bet is that silver and gold are acting like we're on the verge of something big. But mainstream headlines are still largely focused on temporary inflation or minor market corrections. But if history has taught us anything, is that these kind of movements in precious metals often precede bigger economic storms. So whether it's a looming recession, a collapse in the market confidence, or a financial crisis, the signs are hard to miss. And I bet you there's some people out there that might argue that this is just another cycle. But how do you explain the kind of gains we're seeing? It's not just speculative fever, it's something a lot deeper. So when assets that have held value for thousands of years are starting to surge, it means people are preparing for what could be the next big economic shock. And silver is sending a clear signal that's telling us to brace ourselves, because we could be days or weeks away from some real serious move. So is silver's skyrocketing price just the start of a much bigger narrative? It's still too early to tell, but I do believe we're about to see an economic crisis unfold. Whether it's something from the BRICS, some type of war, or a sovereign debt crisis here in the good old US of A, anything could be the trigger point that sends silver and gold to the moon. So as always, the goal is just to be patient, prepared, and working on a plan so that we all know how to navigate these waters in the days ahead. Anyway, thought I would just take a minute, share with you what's happening, share some perspective on it, and just continue to keep you guys in the loop as to what's going on. Because as always, you shouldn't expect to get any truth from the mainstream media, because it's their job to keep you glued into what the powers that be would rather have you focus on, which of course is equities. Because as we can see right now, more households since the 2000 crash are positioned in equities over anything else. And as you see on this graph here, the average household holds about 50% of assets in cash and debt. So that means if the stock market comes crashing down, it's the majority of people's household wealth as well. And this is something the mainstream media doesn't want people to even think about. So with all that being said, it would do no good to give you all that news and analysis and then talk about some of the problems that the mainstream wants to hide from you without giving you some suggestions. And so as always, there's never been a better time to get involved in the silver game other than setting up your own small distribution business. So if you guys are interested in finding out more, visit mysilverteam.com and have a chance to save, share, and earn directly in silver as a way of diversifying how you accumulate your silver by being able to do it with automatic shipments, and then getting your own silver store where you can direct customers to, allow them to purchase from you directly, and then be able to purchase from yourself and be considered a full-fledged bullion dealer yourself. And then last, for those who want the most affordable access to gold in this current environment, where gold is becoming more unaffordable for those who don't have the cash on hand to actually be able to buy a full ounce of gold at about $3,000 right now, here's an opportunity to get fractional gold notes that are made of 24-karat gold that you can use to either spend, to barter, or to save as a hedge against inflation. So if you're interested to find out more, just go to buygoldnotes.com. You can grab a weight in proportion to whatever you can afford, even if you want the dollar cost average into it. So once again, just share my 2 cents on the matters and give you some strategies as well as options on how to protect and preserve everything you work hard for. But once again, drop a comment down below, hit that thumbs up button, share this so more people can find out what's going on, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.